Adam here with the Walzer Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have the 2025 Hyundai Santa Cruz. So we'll look at the updates for 25, take a look at the interior, the exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel of the 25 Santa Cruz, and this is the SEL Activity with the all-wheel drive. So there's a few different trim levels, you can get different engine options, so we'll cover a little bit more of that when we're on the go, but I wanted to talk about some of the changes for the 2025 lineup. Now the biggest things are going to be inside, but on the exterior they did make a little bit of a refresh to the grille, so you'll notice that design is a little bit different compared to the 24. They've also gone with the XRT, which is a little bit more off-road focused, so it's going to have a little bit more rugged tire and a few different designs on the exterior of that vehicle as well. Now the big changes are going to be inside. So the lower tier trim levels are going to keep a 12.3 inch display with just regular gauge clusters, but once you get up to the SEL Activity and some of the higher trim levels, you get the two 12.3 inch kind of linked displays in here. So this is going to get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and then you've got your digital cluster on the other side, which again is also the 12.3 inch display. Also, the dashboard and center console has got a little bit of a refresh as well, depending on which trim level you're looking at. But that's just some of the big changes for 25, but again, I've got my cell phone because we do have wireless Apple CarPlay in here, so I can put it down there on the wireless charger, and then I've got Google Maps, text messaging, Spotify, all my good stuff I want built right into the screen, so I don't have to mess with my phone when I'm driving around. So let's put it in drive, we'll go for a spin around. Now, there is going to be two different engine options, which are also going to come with two different gearboxes depending on which Santa Cruz you're looking at. This SEL Activity with the all-wheel drive is going to have the 2.5 liter four-cylinder, and that's going to be, I think, around 191 horsepower, and this gets an 8-speed automatic. Now, if you want a little more get up and go, you can bump up to the turbocharged engine. That one, like I said, does have a little bit different of a gearbox as well, but that's going to about 280 horsepower. So there is a pretty significant jump up to that. So with the 8-speed automatic and the 2.5, this is going to get you 29 mpg on the highway, and that's with the H-Track, which is the all-wheel drive system. So it's about a 1 mpg difference if you go with just the two-wheel drive model, but I think for such a small trade-off, having that all-wheel drive system is definitely a benefit. Now the other key difference is this one can tow 3,500 pounds, but if you go up to the turbocharged engine, you bump that towing capacity to 5,000 pounds. So that's going to be pretty competitive with things like the Honda Ridgeline as well as the Ford Maverick. So 5,000 pounds, that's pretty good. A utility trailer, maybe a small boat you can tow around. So that's pretty impressive out of this Hyundai Santa Cruz. Now let's start with the redesign on the exterior. Like I said, the kind of bumper design looks a little bit more like the Tucson now, so it's just a mild refresh for 25. I think this is now the 4th year for the Santa Cruz, so they did want to make a few changes, and the wheels are also different on the 25 model. I think they look pretty cool. It's kind of in keeping with sort of that almost digital look to me somehow, but it looks good. I think it works well. This is the sage green exterior. I think this color looks awesome. There's lots of really cool colors that you can get on the Santa Cruz as well, so that's definitely something to consider. The ride and drive, it's quiet, it's comfortable in here. It does feel like I'm in a Tucson, just they cut the back off of it. It really does drive mostly like a car. I mean, it's kind of how the Maverick and maybe some of the other smaller trucks are as well, that you just get the sense that you're in a crossover SUV, but you still get a lot of utility. Now with that truck bed, you're going to have a sliding tonneau cover that's going to come on this model, as well it's a soft open tailgate, and then once it's open, there's a lot of kind of cool party tricks back there. It's got LED lighting with a little button that you can press in the back of the truck to turn those lights on. And then from there, you're going to have a ton of tie downs. So they got like a little utility rail where you can use for tie downs, or there's some just mounted into the bed. As well, this one is going to have a bed liner back there. It's not something you have to add to this trim level. Now, one of the other pretty cool little party tricks is that it has a underfloor storage. So you can use that kind of like a cooler if you want to keep gear under there. That's really convenient. There's just a lot of usability back there. Not to mention there's a 112 volt plug-in. So if you're camping out on a job site, needing something, maybe you're working on something out at the cabin, this is a pretty usable vehicle. Then again, gives you a lot of benefit with the great fuel economy and the usability of a truck bed. Yet you can still go to Costco and park this thing. It's not a monster 1500 truck you're trying to work around. It's easy to park, and with the backup camera, that's pretty convenient as well. Now let's talk about the interior. So this SEL Activity does add the H-Tex, which is going to be the kind of mock leather material. It's really easy to clean. These front seats are also going to be heated, so you can kick those on right here on the center console. Also, this is going to come with a remote start on the key fob, so you can fire it up. It'll be nice and toasty when you're ready to go. Plus, you can also link BlueLink. I think it's something like a 3-year free trial that you get, so that makes it also easy to access your phone. You can start your truck, I think, through Amazon Alexa as well, so there's some pretty cool stuff in there. Now, like I said, the infotainment screen is great. It's very responsive. Some of the newer screens today, you kind of get a little bit of lag with them. I didn't feel that at all in the Santa Cruz. You can use the CarPlay, you can switch back to the Hyundai menu if you want, but for the most part, they figured people are probably going to be using Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay, so all your good stuff, whether it's the maps, I can click that as a physical button down here as well. That will pull that up, and voice controls you can use, and that's going to pull Siri up on the CarPlay. Now the digital cluster on the other side here, not a lot going on. That's just going to basically show you your pertinent information. Trip computer stuff, it can show you how your all-wheel drive is going and your tire pressure monitoring system, plus some of your safety features can also go through there. Now this is just going to have the standard cruise control. It's not going to be the adaptive cruise control in this model, but you do get the lane departure warning. There's a safe exit. There's an emergency braking system as well. So there's a ton of safety built into these Hyundais, and it's not a really intrusive system. But if you don't like something, you can certainly go into the menu and just turn it off. Now this one will also get the wireless charging like I mentioned for my phone, but you do keep 2 USB-C chargers up here as well. In the second row, you've got vents and you've got USB-C charging back there. It's a little tighter. I'd say it's pretty much comparable to whether you're looking at the Tacoma, the Maverick, even the Honda Ridgeline. That one does get a little bit bigger, but for the most part, these kind of crossover or smaller trucks don't have a ton of room in the back. I found that this one had more headroom than I got out of maybe, say, the Frontier or the Tacoma, but legroom is going to be a little tight. If you got the kiddos back there, they'll be fine, but most of these smaller trucks aren't going to have a ton of room. It's more for usability. There's storage underneath the seats there, but I think, like I said, if you were doing short trips, I don't know if I'd want to go on a long road trip back there, but overall, it's usable if you need it, and the 4-door is also very convenient, so you can throw stuff in the back or just easily into the truck bed. The truck bed is very usable. I think if you were, using this for a small job site vehicle or just something you were kind of bopping around on the weekends, there's a little foot kind of cut out in the back of the bumper so you can crawl up into the tailgate, but it's not like using a 1500 where it's hard to reach over the bed. If you have that tonneau cover open, you can easily reach into the truck bed, grab maybe if it's your fishing gear or just any lumber you're hauling around. It does make it pretty easy, being that the truck is lower down, and like I said, with all the tie downs, it's a pretty convenient little vehicle. It's compliant on the road. The suspension isn't overly stiff. I mean, it is kind of road construction season here, heading into wintertime almost in Minnesota, so the roads are in poor shape. But I mean, if you hit the big road joists and potholes and stuff, there's enough sidewall on the tire that it does provide a very comfortable ride. And I like the steering. It's kind of a soft steering. Some of the other smaller trucks have such a heavy kind of feel to the steering. This one, like I said, drives basically like a Tucson with the back cut off of it, and that's pretty easy. So let's talk about the price. Now, MSRP on this truck is going to be a little over $37,000. So the Activity does add some of that great equipment, like, the bed lighting, you get the H-Tech seats in here, the larger screens. But if you're looking for a little bit less expensive, you can drop down to maybe the SEL or the base model. Or if you want even more stuff, the XRT and the Limited even give you more equipment from here. I think the average new car price is about $48,000. So if you take about 10 grand off of that, you're still getting the 2 12.3-inch displays. I mean, 29 mpg is pretty impressive out of this truck, and with the usability of the truck bed, I think if you're cross-shopping, maybe like I said, the Maverick, the Frontier, the Tacoma, or even if you're looking at crossover SUVs, this is going to give you a lot of that same equipment, and I think pretty cool style on the exterior. I think the Santa Cruz, every time I see one, just looks good on the road. And if you want something that's usable, something that gets a great warranty as well, I think the Hyundai Santa Cruz definitely one to get out, take for a spin, see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and drive at the 25 Hyundai Santa Cruz. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by either one of our Hyundai locations. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.